The 4th of July weekend in Texas Hill Country began with celebration. Families gathered along the banks of the Guadalupe River, children laughing, and the air buzzing with anticipation for the evening's fireworks. The river, usually a gentle companion to summer festivities, shimmered under the sun as people grilled, swam, and shared stories. It was a scene of pure Americana, a moment when the world felt safe and full of promise. But as night fell, the mood shifted. The sky unleashed a deluge of biblical proportions. 4 trillion gallons of water fell in a matter of hours, an unimaginable torrent that transformed the gentle river into a raging monster. Thunder echoed through the hills, and the rain seemed endless, pounding the earth with relentless force. By morning, homes, businesses, and bridges had vanished in the torrent. The joyful sounds of celebration were replaced by the deafening roar of water and the splintering of ancient trees. Entire neighborhoods were swept away in minutes, leaving behind only chaos and debris. Families awoke to a nightmare, rising water lapping at their doors, cars submerged, and no clear path to safety. The idyllic summer scene was erased in a matter of hours, replaced by fear and confusion as people scrambled to higher ground. As dawn broke, devastation was everywhere. Homes ripped from their foundations, roads and bridges gone, the familiar landscape rendered unrecognizable. The power of the flood was total, leaving nothing untouched. First responders rushed in, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Rescue operations became perilous as currents swept away boats and debris blocked every route. Communication lines were destroyed, isolating entire communities and making coordination nearly impossible. The human toll mounted with each passing hour, over 100 dead, 200 missing. Families searched desperately for loved ones, clinging to hope as the reality of loss set in. Each number was a shattered family, a life cut short, a future stolen. Grief swept through the community, touching every home and every heart. Among the worst losses was at Camp Mystic, a beloved summer retreat. There, 27 campers and counselors perished as floodwaters tore through cabins in the dead of night, leaving behind only heartbreak and unanswered questions. These were children. Their lives ended in an instant, their laughter silenced, their dreams washed away before they had a chance to begin. The tragedy at Camp Mystic became the heart-wrenching symbol of a holiday turned historic disaster. Vigils were held, and the nation mourned with the families who lost so much. The Hill Country, once known for its beauty and tranquility, was left in ruins. The landscape was scarred, the spirit of the community tested as never before. The river, once a source of joy and life, had become a monster, its power and fury forever etched into memory. This was not just a natural disaster, it was a community forever changed, a reminder of nature's power and the fragility of the lives we build along its banks. As the flood's devastation unfolded, entire communities watched in disbelief as their homes and streets disappeared beneath rising waters. The scale of destruction was overwhelming, leaving families stranded and neighborhoods unrecognizable. But as the rain poured down, a new storm erupted online. Conspiracy theories blaming cloud seeding for the disaster began to circulate rapidly, spreading confusion and fear across social media platforms. At the center of these rumors was a company called Rainmaker, which specializes in weather modification technology. Prominent figures and online personalities quickly amplified claims that so-called weather weapons had been used to unleash the flood, offering a sinister and dramatic explanation for the tragedy that was unfolding. Social media feeds filled with angry accusations against Rainmaker and its CEO, Augustus Dorico, despite the complete lack of credible evidence linking them to the disaster. In reality, Rainmaker's last cloud seeding mission had ended a full day before the storm even began, making it impossible for their technology to have played any role in the flood. The flood was actually caused by a massive natural weather event, a powerful storm system that swept across Texas, far beyond the reach of any current weather modification technology. Yet, the conspiracy theory continued to spread, fueling public anger, sparking heated arguments, and even leading to threats against those falsely accused, all while distracting from the urgent rescue efforts underway. While first responders risked their lives to save flood victims, much of the public's attention was hijacked by a baseless theory, making it harder to focus on the real crisis at hand. In the end, the true causes of the disaster were being obscured by a storm of suspicion and misinformation, leaving many to wonder how easily facts can be drowned out by fear. Cloud seeding is a real technology, but its capabilities are often misunderstood and exaggerated. It can only enhance rainfall from clouds that are already present, not magically create storms out of thin air, or generate rain where there are no clouds to begin with. The process works by introducing tiny particles, like silver iodide, into existing clouds, encouraging them to release a bit more precipitation than they would naturally. At best, this results in a modest 10 to 20% increase in rainfall, and only under the right conditions. The catastrophic Texas flood involved trillions of gallons of water, an amount vastly greater than anything cloud seeding could ever hope to produce, even if used at maximum capacity. Meteorologists and climate scientists overwhelmingly agree. No technology exists today that can manufacture, direct, or intensify storms on such a massive scale. The idea of weather weapons causing disasters is pure science fiction, a myth unsupported by any credible scientific evidence or real-world data. The true driving force behind the flood was the immense energy and moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, combined with large-scale atmospheric patterns that no human technology can control. Conspiracy theories about weather manipulation ignore well-established science and distract from the real causes and solutions to these disasters. Focusing on weather weapons only prevents honest discussion about the infrastructure failures and policy decisions that made this disaster so devastating for communities. The tragedy was magnified by human failure. Kerr County, in flood-prone Flash Flood Alley, had no modern warning sirens. Proposals for a flood warning system had been ignored for years, leaving residents vulnerable. When the river rose, many received no alerts until it was too late. The National Weather Service's warnings came after the flood was already underway. Budget cuts and political inaction left communities exposed. Senator Ted Cruz, criticized for vacationing during the disaster, had previously supported cuts to weather agencies. The real culprits were not secret weather weapons, but neglect and underfunding. The loss at Camp Mystic underscored the deadly cost of these failures. The flood's destruction was matched by a wave of misinformation that spilled into real life. Rainmaker's CEO and staff faced threats and harassment, forced into hiding. Scientists debunking the myths were targeted online, accused of cover-ups. The lies inspired violence like the sabotage of a weather radar tower by conspiracy believers. Critical infrastructure was attacked, endangering public safety. Grieving families faced harassment, their pain deepened by wild accusations. Politicians fueled the fire, proposing bans on geoengineering instead of real solutions. The true cost of these lies was division, distraction, and lost opportunities for honest change. Amid devastation, stories of heroism shone through. At Camp Mystic, counselors used mattresses as rafts, risking everything to save children. First responders conducted over 850 high-water rescues. U.S. Coast Guard Petty Officer Scott Ruskin and his crew saved 165 people, braving treacherous conditions. For many, their helicopter was a beacon of hope. Help came from across the border. Rescue teams from Ciudad Acuna, Mexico, joined the effort, bringing expertise and solidarity. These acts of courage and compassion were the true counter to division and suspicion. Communities united, strangers became heroes, and hope persisted amid loss. The best of humanity emerged in the darkest hours. This is the real story of the Texas flood. As the waters recede, the need for change is clear. We must reject conspiracy theories and focus on real failures. Lack of warning systems, underfunded agencies, and ignored risks. Leaders must be held accountable for neglect and inaction. Investment in resilient infrastructure and fully funded weather services is essential. Evacuation plans and modern alerts must be prioritized for vulnerable communities. These are not partisan issues. They are matters of life and death. We all share responsibility, check facts, support science, and demand better from our leaders. The Texas flood was a tragedy of water and neglect. Let its legacy be truth, accountability, and a safer future for all.